I invite you while you rest there to let your body land in your seat. Let it soften, sink, be off duty. Noticing the pull of gravity and the weight of your body. Letting it win. Letting your face droop and your hands be idle. Your belly be fat. Landing. You might take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths to signal to the body, going nowhere. Nothing to do right now. Time to take our hands off the steering wheel and just float along. Every out breath, another invitation down, soft, off duty. Resting from the fray. In being, simple being. Just here as a breathing presence. Noticing the sounds, sound of my voice, the quiet in between my words. And if there's any tiredness in your body, that can be an ally too. Give into it. Let yourself sink and soften. Enough hard work for the moment, enough figuring stuff out. Time to float in being, as being, just here. Letting the world for a moment take care of itself. Letting your attention sink into your felt experience. Noticing every nuance of breath, every sensation as the air moves into your body, fills your lungs. And the pull down on the exhale, air leaving, shoulders sinking. Breath like the waves of the ocean, in, out, simple. Allowing the creature of the body to be soothed, to have ground, plenty of air to breathe. Noticing the simple benevolence of ground, of quiet, going nowhere, coming completely out of up and out or forward, to fall down in, back into the ground of your own being. Softening everything, willing to soften, softening all around the things that don't want to soften. Maybe laying a hand on those in mercy. Mercy for the busy places, the tense places, human. As we help ourselves to the benevolence of the moment, to the sweetness of presence, of company, of turning toward being, what I call the holy. You may call it something else. Allowing ourselves to soften open to the simplicity of our existence, the hum of life energy, and a sense of presence, empty, simple, going nowhere, accomplishing nothing, nothing to do, figure out, fend off, or handle. As you really soak in this inner atmosphere. You can keep your eyes open, keep your eyes closed, either way. But consider staying with your attention in your felt experience. Headless, headless. If thought flirts with you, come back down and to feel into the simplicity of presence and sensation. Just here. And you might imagine the boundary between body and atmosphere softening and dissolving, resting more as a cloud of presence and a single body, filling the room, filling the house, filling the town. Landing in this living moment, this simple moment with the trees, the sky, the earth, all the creatures, everything that inhabits this thing we call now, as an innocent, without any designs on the moment, without trying to get anything or get anywhere, realize anything, or use the moment as a stepping stone to some better place. Just sinking down into it, drinking a full draught of it, helping yourself to really feeling your life right here, your living presence, meeting any places that are restless or hungry or longing, holding them like children in your lap, letting the engine slow, sinking down into this deep, abiding field that we share, whatever our gender, our race, our country, our political party, whether we're a parent or not, whatever it is we do for work, all of that secondary to this moment, this being that we share. From this place, there is a sense of the human heart intending well, and aren't we ever so sweet, ever so simple when we rest in being, when we slow down, and fully inhabit the moment. When we notice the preciousness of life, when we notice the beings who are sharing the moment with us, innocent, unified, already family, nothing left out. Just noticing presence equally notices whatever washes up on its shore. Resting in the complete mystery of our existence. When we don't go to the head, when we don't invent a world, when we rest here in this living moment, just in what we have direct contact with, we are simplified, we are harmonized, we are soothed. Things feel to be enough. It's like resting and not incorporating, not turning into a separate me. Resting as a kind of a fluid presence, an openness. The mind cannot wrap itself around the reality of unity. Unity is something that we experience, that we know through experience, that we fall into when we fall into our simple true nature. It has lots of features, unity being one, love being one, clarity, equanimity. Here we are cleansed of the past. We fall into the living moment and stop grabbing at a future. And become full. As far as I can tell, the way, how do I say? My sense is we are here to inhabit this that we are. This is where evolution seems to be pointing toward more and more of us discovering and falling in love with this essential being that we are. And then we all experiment with how we move and speak and live from this headless place, from this heartful place. And the first step is to discover it, to fall open as it, to spend time allowing the creature of the body to learn to trust it, to rest in it, to be soft and slow, and allow it to approach the stillness of the ground of being. Obviously, some things need a heartbeat, we need breath. This quiet, this presence zeroes us, purifies us, washes our complexity away, restores our simple innocence. When I first fell open like this, and the sensitivity that accompanied it, I didn't know how to relate anymore in the old way. The old way I related was from splitting off from the moment and getting going, getting moving, allowing the restless fuel of becoming, a fear of getting there, to fuel my action. Like a good child of my culture, everything that I did was from a place of splitting off from ground, splitting off from presence, to go, there, ahead, do, make happen, as though everything was up to me. Being has a different way. There's a different sense of time to resting in being. There's a quality to action from resting in being that is clean burning. When you look at the fuel from a pure act, from a simple act, sometimes we can find this experience in simple things like getting up to make a sandwich. There's a simple necessity to it. When we look behind the act, there isn't the fuel of fear of trying to become someone. There isn't the splitting into me and you and a problem and time. There's simply a moving that seems to move through us. That organic flow of the Tao moving and us surrendered to it. And the discerning of that, the hearing it, feeling it, following it, requires that we become familiar with this resting at zero, which is what I'm inviting you into now. What the Buddhists call skillful means, when we are zeroed, when we are clear, when we can see what's actually going on. Skillful means rise without an enemy, without a problem, simply because our hearts want to serve the moment in this particular way. Because we love. No longer are we addicted to the end. Where are we going? How is it? Are we succeeding? Are we failing? When we move from deep being, there is an intrinsic sense of rightness inside it, come what may. There is that clean, right feeling of congruence, of yes. And if each of us has a potential contribution to make in each moment, built of this congruence. Sometimes it's no action at all. Sometimes it's a big action. generally effortless and simple, often without reason. The holy moves in a non-linear way, not in a rational way. It doesn't come with a whole rational proof. It just comes with a prompt that feels true and right. To abide as this simplicity, it requires the letting go, the death of so much, so many identities, so many historical proper ways of being fall by the wayside as we obey the simple impulses. It's a time now. It's like the conditions are ripe and right to become passionate, adamant, in love, in love with unity, willing to risk, willing to experiment, willing to discover who we are in the light of what's true, in the light of the unconditioned. To slowly recover our capacity to rest empty, to rest all here, to become willing servants of the truth as it moves. I invite you as you rest there, and I would invite you to keep resting, keep sinking your attention down into your felt experience. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Feel the ground under you and the weight of your body resting into it. Feel the field of presence that we are sharing right now. To know yourself in a new way. And when I say new, new in each moment, fresh, alive, unknown, resting as more of a space or a presence than an individual, resting as a temple within which the holy can dance, speak, play. I have a friend who started an indivisible group in his home. He's invited some neighbors to come to band together to sort of see how we want to bring our hearts to bear locally. And he was quite worked up. This was around the election. He was quite worked up and fearful. And at the end of the meeting, I went up to him and I hugged him and I said, I don't even remember saying this. He reported it later. I said, this will be fun. Speaking to the joy of being in a room with other human beings, sharing their hearts, being together, sharing a little food, sharing space. This will be fun. And he said in that moment, it shifted him from his terror. He hadn't really considered that maybe something like this could be fun, to be together, to speak what's true, to see how the hearts want to move. There are so many forces inside us and outside us that invite us into fear, invite us into uh, our uh, reptile brain, into fear, fright, or flight, into fighting, into black and white, into right and wrong, good and bad. I notice, and this even happens in spiritual circles, sometimes I'll be talking to someone and they will shift gears. You can see it happen in their face. The openness leaves. They get a little more sped up. They go into a track of past belief. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter how spiritual they think they are. They could even be talking about their brand of spirituality. And suddenly there's a sense that you are alone, that you have been shut out, that there's no longer communion. There's no longer resting together. There's no longer the fondness of human connectedness and sharing the moment. There's something of a bull present. We lift off from the moment, from the heart, from this open sharing when we get scared. And we cling to our opinions, to things for certainty. And we leave each other. We leave the moment. We leave our own abiding presence to ride those concepts into battle, far away from the tenderness and connectedness of the moment. I have this thing I call the friend or foe scale. And I tend to not be interested in any conversations where the atmosphere is starting to go into the foe scale. It can happen so easily anywhere, where suddenly we don't feel like friends anymore. We folded our tents up. We are leaving our wide open abiding in the moment, picking up our conceptual swords and shields. And it's a tiny movement. It's a movement that we can discover and become familiar with in our own bodies when we go in a moment from open and soft, wide, connected, simple, to no longer conscious of any of that. Voice gets forceful, harsh. This is the time to put the oxygen mask on the creature of the body. The body is a creature. It's a beast. And it will go into its biological survival programming in a heartbeat when it feels threatened. Spiritual mastery includes befriending, caring for, and talking the creature down out of its tree on a regular basis as a way of life, so that something deeper and sweeter and more concerned with love and survival, truth and winning, comes to the fore. A humility, a deep valuing of connectedness and abiding in presence over defeating or defending. This can be developed. It's not easy. It's not an overnight thing. But what a beautiful way to spend our time on earth, to see just how harmless we can be, just how deeply serving love we can be. And I don't mean just the pink love, the heart's love, the ignore all the things you just did and I'll smile at you love. I mean the deep sense of unity and befriendedness that also combines inviting someone to look at their behavior. I had a sweet moment the other night with a good friend. We were in the car, three of us, and his voice was starting to get quite forceful. There was no fight going on, nobody trying to be right. He was just getting excited about what he was sharing. He was getting quite worked up and he was literally shouting. And I just didn't think about it. I just rested my hand on him kind of firmly. And I said, "You're shouting," not in an accusatory way. Like a, "Hey, friend, you're shouting," like a data bit. "You're shouting." "Oh," he said, "Thank you. Thank you. I do that sometimes." And he settled down into his body. Sometimes I'm with people who start to get worked up before any content is shared. It's time to befriend. It's time to understand. It's time to hug or say things that make the friend scale go up in number, casting aside every other, everything else. Nothing else can be done if we're not somewhere in the vicinity of friendliness. Nothing can be done. Nothing is done by shouting at each other, by dividing and going to war, except a little steam letting for our agitation. But if our hearts, love, spirit, holy, love, presence, reality, we can let that love turn into a kind of a dedication. And it takes dedication because the creature oftentimes has the steering wheel when we get triggered. And it's easy and it's pleasurable to let the creature just roll. And at some point, there is a pleasure that's higher than the pleasure that comes from a jackal fest. There's a pleasure in being true to one's high ideals, to living here as a representative of what we can love. This is my dearest research project here on earth, is not just waking up to who we are, but how do we live this? How do we live it? We are ready to live it. The earth is ready for us to live it. The animals are ready for us to live it. Our hearts are so ready for us to live it. To fully inhabit our bodies as presence, to not turn our back on our sensitivity, our high ideals, our capacity to love and to be lit, to not give up on that, and also to not turn our back on or continue to split off and punish the creature of the body for its creatureliness. Mercy, mercy to our humanness as we just make the dearest dedicated, passionate commitment of all to be here as love, to be here as a servant of the truth. So here together tonight or whatever time it is for you, those of you across the pond, collectively together in the name of what we love the most, in the name of what we long for the most, to be free, to be love, to express these hearts that we have, to express this light that we are. We rest together in the name of this, whatever the name is that you use, in the fact of this, in the importance of this, how vital it is today in the world, how important it is in small ways, in large ways, to pause, to allow ourselves, with whatever aids we need, to rest in our own being, to water our roots, to water our hearts, to tank up, and to take a step with full presence, with love. And when we fall down, to have mercy, to own our mistakes, and to stand up again. Not to be beyond reproach, not to be good doobies, but because we love this that we are, and we love it so much that we want to live it, because it is our birthright. Want to redeem the human being. We are beautiful. We are lit. We try so hard. We deserve so much mercy for how challenging it can be to be on earth. We deserve company, inspiration, and support to live this. Reminders. Have regular places to rest together, to laugh together, to gather together on the basis of reality and the deep reality of our true nature, rather than what is so commonly being seen these days as human. To not settle for being a beast, at least an unconscious beast. If you want to go out and roar at the moon, yay. In the 10 Oxford pictures, a little Buddha, the 10th picture, he's riding back into the marketplace on his ox without a rein. He's made friends with its nature. He's made room for its ways. He's allowed all of the drives in the ox to become conscious and integrated and enjoyed as his life energy. We are a beautiful hybrid. It's not an accident that we are spirit and fleshed. It's not a sign of our badness that we are human beings. It's part of the recipe. But I hope as I sit here, this is my offering. I am looking into your light. I am looking at your light. I'm talking to you right there, you. The light that I am is looking into the light you are and saying, rise, rise, rise. Just because it's hard, you don't have to give up.